Hello students, so we are back with the next video on 5 kingdom classification. So I hope that whatever was being shown and discussed in the previous video, the introductory video on biological classification, I hope you could understand the basic needs and objectives of classification and the modern pattern in which the entire living world is classified. So the most accepted and the modern pattern of classification is called 5 kingdom classification, which was proposed by R.H. Whitaker. So according to that classification, that mode of classification, the most primitive kingdom that came into life on earth was kingdom Monera. And organisms which belong to this kingdom are bacteria. So you can see on the screen that a bacterial cell has been shown over here. This is a bacterial cell. Now, I had shown you in the previous video that monerans, bacteria, they are unicellular. So you can see this is only one cell which performs all the functions of an organism. This one cell of bacterium will perform respiration, digestion, excretion, photosynthesis, everything this one cell would perform. They are prokaryotic, which means they have a primitive kind of a nucleus. Pro means primitive. Karyotic comes from the word karyon. Karyon means nucleus. So they have a primitive nucleus. Why their nucleus is said to be primitive? Because if you see carefully, this is the chromatin material. It's already labeled over here, chromosome. There is no membrane surrounding this chromosome. No membrane surrounding this chromatin material. So that is why it is called a prokaryotic organism. Ideally, a true nucleus should have 4 components: nuclear membrane, nucleoplasm, then the chromatin fibers, and nucleolus. In case of monerans, we can see only the chromatin fibers are there, which are suspended in the cytoplasm. Apart from this chromosome, they have one extra chromosomal circular DNA, which is called plasmid. So you see over here, there is a plasmid. Extra chromosomal circular DNA. Why such a name? Over here, extra means outside. Outside of what? Outside of this chromatin material. So outside this chromatin material, there is one circular strand, a double-stranded DNA molecule which is circular in shape, and it's known as plasmid. So that is why extra chromosomal DNA. What is the function of this plasmid? Function is this plasmid, this molecule of DNA will have certain genes which will give the bacteria certain attributes. Like if you carefully see the structure, around the cell wall there is another layer which is labeled as capsule. Capsule. Now this capsule, it is also sometimes called glycocalyx, sometimes it is called slime layer. Now, what is the function? Function is when a bacterium, it attacks a host's body. Since to the host body, the bacterium is a foreign entity. And we know whenever a foreign entity enters our body, it can be a chemical, it can be another organism. How does the body respond? The body responds by producing antibodies or maybe antitoxins. Antitoxins are chemicals. So, those antitoxins will try to kill the bacterial cell. In turn, the bacterial cell will try to defend itself, will try to protect itself. So, this slime layer or capsule or glycocalyx, whatever it may be, it acts as a shield, as a protective barrier against host's digestive enzymes. This is one function. Another function is, suppose if the bacterium falls in any adverse condition. Suppose the surrounding environment is very dehydrating, there is shortage of water, protoplasm may shrink, or suppose extremes of temperature, surrounding temperature is extremely high or extremely low. So in that case, capsule can act as a shield. If the surrounding temperature is too high, there will be a chance of desiccation. What is desiccation? Desiccation means drying up of bacterial cell. So, in order to prevent its protoplasm from getting dried up, capsule will act as a protective covering. Apart from these features, a very striking feature of bacteria is there are no membrane-bound cell organelles in the structure. Presence of membrane-bound cell organelles is a typical feature of eukaryotes. Prokaryotes lack these structures. So automatically, bacterial cell also doesn't have any membrane-bound cell organelles. There is no mitochondrium, no endoplasmic reticulum, no Golgi complex, but they have, as you can see, scattered ribosomes in their cytoplasm. Why? Ribosome is also a cell organelle, but it's present. That is because ribosome is a membrane-less cell organelle. It doesn't have any membrane. So ribosomes in bacterial cell acts as the protein manufacturers. They synthesize enzymes which are required for the cell to work. Enzymes for photosynthesis, enzymes for respiration. So all these are synthesized by ribosomes. Some bacteria may have chlorophyll. They will be phototrophic, which means they will be producing their own glucose. That glucose will be stored in the form of glycogen. So glycogen is the stored form of food in a bacterial cell. Bacteria, if it is aquatic, it needs a locomotory organ to swim. That locomotory organ will be flagellum. And why it's called endospore, such a structure, why do we find over here? Because suppose if there is any adverse condition, temperature is too high, surrounding environment is very toxic, then bacterium, certain bacteria, not all, bacterium has the ability to draw its cellular contents into a mass. And around the mass, it secretes a 3-layered wall. So when it assumes such a structure, then it is called endospore. So endospore is basically a method to protect the bacterial cell from adverse environmental conditions. For all these things to be there in a bacterial cell, formation of slime layer, some other characteristics like certain bacterium, they can be resistant to antibiotics. Certain bacterium will be able to fix nitrogen. So these characteristics are only possible when the bacterium plasmid has got certain special genes. Those genes help the bacteria to have these attributes. So this is all about the bacterial cell. These are the main characteristics of kingdom Monera. Now, if they do not have mitochondria, will they not respire? Definitely they will. So instead of mitochondria, what do they have? Sometimes the cell membrane of bacterium, it projects inwards and forms certain structures which are called mesosomes. Mesosomes, which act as a substitute for mitochondria. They contain respiratory enzymes which help the bacterial cell to perform respiration. Plastids will be absent, so they will be having chromatophores instead of plastids. Chromatophores will be having chlorophyll, which will help the bacteria to perform photosynthesis. Okay, so instead of mitochondria, they have mesosome. Instead of plastids, they have chromatophores. So this is all about Monera. Now the next kingdom that comes is Protista. Protistans, they are unicellular, but they are eukaryotic, which means their cells must be having mitochondria, must be having endoplasmic reticulum, must be having certain other cellular organelles. Example can be, in the previous slide it was shown, example can be diatoms which are found in oceans, in seas. Diatoms are found. Protozoa is a kind of protist like amoeba, paramecium. Okay, then euglena. These are all protistans. So they are unicellular, eukaryotic. Next kingdom is fungi. Now from fungi, multicellularity comes in. I told you in the previous video. So fungi can be unicellular or it can be multicellular. So this is unicellular yeast cell and it is eukaryotic. So you can see mitochondria is there, then vacuole is there. That means membrane bound structures are present in fungi. And they have a cell wall also. Now this cell wall and bacterial cell wall, composition wise, they are different. In bacterium, the cell wall is made up of peptidoglycan. I may write down over here. The cell wall is made up of peptidoglycan. In case of fungi, it is made up of chitin. The cell wall, it is made up of chitin. And apart from yeast, there are multicellular forms which will have some certain filamentous structures. Each filamentous structure, each filament, slender filament, will be called hypha. Hypha. Hypha is singular form and hyphae will be plural. So, chitin is the composition of cell wall. Hyphae, these are slender filamentous structures which actually make up a mass of fungi. So when many hyphae interact with one another, they form a network-like structure, and that network-like structure is called mycelium. It's called mycelium. Mycelium. So these are the basic structures, these are the basic characteristics of fungi. One difference between fungi and the previous ones are, fungi are completely heterotrophic. Monerans and protistans, they can be heterotrophic or autotrophic. But fungi, they are completely heterotrophic. They can either be parasitic or they can be saprophytic. Okay. After fungi, the next kingdom is kingdom Plantae, and in kingdom Plantae I would like to show you that certain pictures. Suppose this one. It is taking a little bit time to open the picture. This one it belongs to kingdom Plantae. What is the first impression that you are getting? This is moss. So moss belongs to plant kingdom. Okay, then comes after moss, I will also show you one more, and that is, say, this one. Fern. Moss, fern, these are lower grade plants. Because why lower grade? Because they do not produce seeds. They do not produce flowers. These are non-flowering plants. Non-flowering plants. Okay? And they do not have well-developed vascular tissues also. Xylem, phloem, these are not present in moss. So mosses are devoid of vascular tissues, but this is fern. This one contains xylem, phloem, but not so developed. So moss is also called a bryophyta. Bryophyta, and this one, which is fern, this is also called pteridophyta. Pteridophyta. So bryophytes, they lack vascular tissues. Pteridophytes, they have vascular tissues. After that comes the angiosperms and the gymnosperms, which are flowering plants, which means they produce seeds. Gymnosperms produce seeds, but the seeds are not enclosed within fruits. Whereas angiosperms, they produce seeds, but the seeds are enclosed within fruits. So how many kinds of plants did we study? Bryophyta, pteridophyta, then angiosperms, gymnosperms. And there are algae also. Red algae, green algae, brown algae. So these are different forms of plant kingdom. Next comes animal kingdom. So, which is a very big kingdom because it includes so many organisms. Kingdom Animalia. So, Kingdom Animalia, there are two groups under Kingdom Animalia: invertebrates and vertebrates. So, two groups: invertebrates, which are also called non-chordates, and vertebrates, which are also called chordates. Why such name chordates, non-chordates? Because vertebrates in their embryonic stage, they have a structure called notochord. From there the name comes. Invertebrates, at any point in their life cycle, they will not have this notochord. So that is why they are called non-chordates. Now, invertebrates, they can be divided into these following phyla. So the lowest or the most underdeveloped phylum is Porifera, and the most evolved phylum under invertebrates, Echinodermata. We cannot say most evolved, but better features, more advanced features are there. So this is Echinodermata. So starting from Porifera, then comes Cnidaria, Aschelminthes, Platyhelminthes, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata. These are all invertebrate phyla. Under vertebrates, vertebrata or chordata. Chordata is phylum, vertebrata is subphylum. I showed you in one of the slides that there is a taxonomical hierarchy. Kingdom, then phylum, then class, then order, then family, genus, species. In between those categories, there can be subcategories. Like under kingdom, if there is phylum, under phylum there can be subphylum. Above class, there can be superclass. Below class, there can be subclass. There can be infraclass. So certain more categories are there, but we do not study them at this stage. You are in these are there in the graduation level or in +2 level also, not so much in details. But we should have an idea that many other taxonomic categories are also there in between. So vertebrata is the name of a subphylum. Chordata is the name of a phylum. So in the hierarchical process, chordata will come before vertebrata. Under subphylum vertebrata, there are these classes. So starting from Pisces, which include the fish, they are totally aquatic. Then comes amphibia, then reptilia, aves, and ultimately mammals. So these are the classes of vertebrates that are available. And we have to discuss about each and every phylum of these invertebrates and the classes of these vertebrates. So that we will do in the next video. For now, we will be stopping our discussion over here. We'll bring the discussion to an end over here. We have just started. We just have got an idea about the structure of Kingdom Animalia. In the next videos, we will be going into more details about animal kingdom. Till then, bye-bye, and next video is going to come. So please watch the video. If you have any queries, you can write in the comment section. Like the video. If you like it, then share and subscribe to the channel.